How much? Does the Bible go into length about money and personal finances, as well as state finances? What about money's value? What about money's weight and worth, as per described in the Bible? Well, depending on which section of the Bible we're talking about, the Hebrew or Christian, it comes down to very different ways of handling money, but more or less based around the same basic principles of organized religious funds. It's not all said and done that the Bible, which defined the Western world as any sort of secret to personal wealth and success, as some prosperity gospel preachers will have you believe. It's quite the opposite in many ways. If you want to be a good Christian, become a monk. Give up your personal wealth. Because, as it's clearly written, the Bible is about personal ethics and group ethics. Not only handling personal property, but also handling money. This includes finding standardized weights, measurements, as well as dividing the spoils of war. Now, there was a form of fiat currency, meaning non-gold currency in ancient Israel. Its worth had to be tied to weight. And here is all the units of measurements found in the Bible, according to our handy-dandy Bible almanac. So 1 bath, or ephah, dry measure, has a modern equivalent to 38.5 pints. Becca is worth 0.25 ounces. Bushel is worth 15 pints. Cab is worth 3.5 pints. Cor is 48.5 gallons. Cubit is 17.5 inches. A derrick is about $5. Denarius is 1 penny in our modern equivalent, even though that's out of the way. On its way out, the penny. A denarius was a whole day's wage. Imagine it, earning a whole penny for a whole day's wage today. The drachma was about half equivalent of a Jewish shekel, and it's about 32 cents in modern currency. Well, since this almanac was printed in 98, the equivalence and pricing has obviously inflated a little bit. The drachma is 16 cents. A farthing is a quarter of a cent. A fathom is 6 feet. A finger span is about 3/4 of an inch. A furlong is 202 yards. A gera is 1/40th of an ounce. A hin is 6 pints. Homer is 90 gallons. A log is half pint. When they say measure in biblical terms, they mean 9 gallons. A mile is, in Bible terms, 1,618 yards. Mina is about 1.6 pounds. Mite is 1/8 of a cent. Omer is 38.5 pints. 1 pace is 1 yard. A palm is 3 inches. A pot is 1 pint. A pound, or litra, is 7.5 pounds. Quadrans is 1/4 of a cent. A quart is 1.7 pints. A reed, or 6 cubits, is 8 feet and 9 inches. Satin is 21 pints. Siah is 13 pints. A shekel is 0.4 of an ounce. A royal shekel is 0.5 of an ounce. And a temple shekel is 0.2 of an ounce. A span is 9 inches. A talent is 66 pounds. That's a light talent. A normal talent, in Bible terms, is 88 pounds. Of course, Israel isn't a kingdom laced with gold anymore. It's a state now that lacks any sort of gold backing. Cryptocurrency startups are the name of the game in modern-day Israel. The Orthodox Jews living in New York, however, are famous because they retain certain attachments to old wealth distribution. That includes diamonds and jewelry. They even retain the traditional methods of cutting and polishing diamonds. But with lab-grown diamonds now in the market, and cryptocurrencies at war with each other in the stock markets, the future of wealth in the Judeo-Christian world is more uncertain than ever. Will Pope Leo sell off church art and assets? Will the Patriarch of Moscow sell off state-sponsored church land in rebuilding Russia from their current war? And finally, I leave you with this Old Testament verse to decide for yourselves what role money plays in religious life. Malachi 3:10. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will be no room enough to store it.